we're going to go with somebody new. Let's see what we got. Let's go with Brent. You're not new, but you know what I mean. And TMO, 5 phone, I can't remember your name. I apologize from the thing. And Usin. So go ahead, Brent.
All right. What can the Agile team do to resolve the situation? The trend of stories uncompleted at the end of iterations has become apparent. Multiple team members worked on these stories and no blockers were identified. What can the Agile team do to resolve the situation? All right, let's read through. Hey, put these stories. Go ahead.
No, I was laughing, dude. It's cool.
Okay.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just giggling. It's all right.
Fair enough. Put the stories back into the product backlog and wait for a less intensive iteration to work on them. Not convinced I like the term less intensive iteration. So I don't like that one necessarily. Yeah.
What do you not like about let's go. So if we find like a little section in the answers that are not so great, it might be a way to throw it out. So what do you not like about less intensive iteration?
Well, to my understanding, we have 2-week time boxes or sprints. And so the team is pulling down the work they've reviewed with the product owner. And they should have a good idea of what work can and cannot be done. And then secondly, less intensive is subjective. To you, it's one thing. To me, it's another. So a cross-functional, a T-style team should be prepared to pull in what they can work on.
Yeah.
So,
and they should all be the same. You don't want it to be like herky jerky in like the effort level. You want it to, I mean, not that it's ever possible, but you want to be more smooth in like, hey, they're going to be doing this forever. Like, so every day, it's kind of like working at a factory or whatever. When like the young guys come in and like hit it hard for like 2 days, you're like, the old guys say like, hey man, like we're going to have to be doing this for like the rest of our lives. So like chill out a little bit, like be reasonable. And so we want this thing to be all the way. So yeah, less intensive iterations never come, but we don't want to like ramp it up and like fast, slow. So good. Let's kill it because of that.
Okay. B, use the next iteration for a team spike to determine feasibility of completing the stories. I read somewhere about spike and recall Matt talking about that in our Mount Royal course, but it escapes me at the moment. Feasibility, I just don't like that term in reference again to the stories the team has pulled down. It kind of goes back to A. It seems that the team would get into work they're comfortable doing and capable of doing. I don't like B.
Okay, cool. Before we go, can anybody tell them what a spike? Anybody know what a team spike is or whatever? Anybody guess?
Thank you.
I'll tell you. So if there's something technically that we don't know how to do, then what we can do is establish like a card that, in a sense, allocates a little bit of time for a research little project where somebody can go down, like spiking down, like in like technical expertise, and go down and research and figure out like, how would we do this? What capabilities do we need? That kind of stuff. And then they come up, but we're like allocating a little time within a sprint to say, dude, we got to figure out how to do this. Put one of the people on it for like 4 hours, 2 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is, to go down, figure it out, come back up and say, all right, this is what I realized. This is what I figured out. This is what I researched. So it's just allocating time to do that. That's what a spike is.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
C, put the stories in the block column and work with the product owner to remove impediments. Well, it says no blockers were identified. So I'm not sure I liked C either.
Okay.
But I might hold on to that. And then D, work with the product owner to further break down the stories in the backlog and update the definition of ready. Okay.
Somebody told us what definition of done was. What's the definition of ready, dude? I told you what definition.
Yeah, I should remember what that is offhand.
No, definition done just means like we have a shared agreement of like when we say work's done, it is complete to a certain quality level. So what's that's on the back end of like doing work. Definition of done. What do you think definition of ready is? Yeah, idea?
Maybe it's the understanding the team has during that refinement session that they can intelligently proceed with the stories.
Yes, sir. That would be it. It's like we got the stories to a certain level, not too high, not too low, that like we've broken them down enough, we've explained them enough, they're documented well enough in the interim so that the team can bring them in and it's not just like greenfield where they're not like, okay, let me see what the deal is here. I got to do a bunch of research. It's like, okay, I can actually take this and run with it. So definition already is a team agreed upon standard of like how good the stories have to be defined in order to be brought in to a sprint.
Okay, very good. Well, considering I've removed the two possibilities of A and B.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with D, to work with the product owner to further break them down and then update the definition of ready and look to my counterparts for arguments and for learning for myself in particular.
Yes, sir. Good job. TMO iPhone. Remind me again. Name. It'll jump at me. Yeah, unmute by the way.
Hi, this is Sonal.
So no problem. What do you think this one answer is?
Yes, I think I will go with D2 because if a user story is not delivered, probably that is a bigger chunk of the work which is not completed during that sprint, and it needs to be broken down further. And definition of ready will make sure that, you know, when that user story is brought in, it is the granular piece of work which could be completed in the sprint. So definitely I'll go with D. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. And Usin, as you kind of heard through it, what jumped out at you? What's the learning point? What you got, man?
Initially, I was on the fence between C and D, but I come to the conclusion D makes more sense. And also, to be a great learning opportunity for every project team members on how to resolve such situations that occurs in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great thing. So lots of D's in there. Grace says D, stuff like that. Siobhan is on D. That's awesome. Good job. So trend of uncompleted stories at the end of iteration. We got to ask ourselves if this happens, and this does happen, right? Like, why are they being uncompleted? First of all, there's the natural inclination is we're bringing in too many. Okay, so that could be a problem. Like we're overestimating our ability to do work. So that could be corrected for. Or it could be that we're bringing in too much. Like the pizzas are too big to eat. So stop bringing in big pizzas, start bringing in slices. That's what they're breaking it down to. The thing that's indicative, like interesting in here, it said no blockers. So it's just that we're bringing in like too much work in a sense. And so nothing's holding us back. It's just the quantity of it that's going in there. It's not that like we're getting held up, those kind of things. So awesome. If we think like just regular work, that's like what would keep us from accomplishing stuff. So cool. Let's keep it rolling.